The importance of offering 10% Daswand of one's earnings to Satguru Ji. Bhai Niranjan Singh of Pillai was walking along with Papa Ji. He requested him to throw some light on the fact as to why one should impart 10% of his income in the name of Satguru Ji. Explaining the fact, Papa Ji said, when anybody starts some business and starts getting profit out of that, then no wise man will leave that business. Rather, he will put in more hard work to get more profit. Similar is the act of donating 10% of our income in Satguru's name. Otherwise also, it is a direct commandment of Guruji and every Sikh is supposed to obey it. This is a kind of business in which a question of any kind of loss does not arise. There is always profit in this. Whosoever Sikh does that with 100% honesty, Satguruji becomes so very pleased with him. Then he is saved from all kinds of physical, mental, social and financial problems. Not only this, he is bestowed with the priceless gift of contentment, which saves him from the worldly rat race of acquiring more and more wealth, and thus one remains always at peace. Initially, any addict would give few doses of intoxicant free of cost to allure another person. Bhai Meher Singh met Papa Ji at Pillai Nagar when Papa Ji was doing his duty in Pillai steel plant. Because of his contact with Papa Ji and at the same time he was following each and every commandment of Satguru Ji as prescribed by Panch Pyaras, he started experiencing the essence of Naam and many other occult phenomena. He used to always remain engrossed in that spiritual state of mind. Then in between, all those things suddenly vanished. Once he came to Punjab to his village Satikpur near Nakodar. Papa Ji was still in Punjab at his village Bariar and was staying in the house of Jagir Singh, where he would usually stay during his visits to Punjab and used to meditate intensely. Bhai Meher Singh went to see Sant Ji at his village and told his state of mind. Papa Ji said, when anyone comes in contact with an addict for the first time, the addict gives him intoxicants free of cost so as to allure him and to initiate him into that addiction. When that addict becomes sure that the newcomer has become totally dependent and will not be able to live without taking the intoxicant, then he refuses to give him free dose and tells him to bring money to purchase the next dose. Similarly, whatsoever you have experienced until now was not because of your meditation, but was bestowed. Now you will have to meditate intensely, and then whatsoever you will experience will stay permanently and will never vanish. After advising him to start meditation with love and devotion, Papa Ji sent him back to his village. Importance of Kirtan, hymn singing. Papa Ji often used to tell many parents of Pillai Nagar to send their wards, children, to village Bariar for learning Kirtan during school holidays. Bhai Surjit Singh, son of Bhai Tanna Singh of Pillai, was one amongst them. After they reached village Bariar, they were sent to Sant Kartar Singh Ji Khalsa at Mehta. Khalsa Ji deputed special trainers for these children. Papa Ji also especially requested the trainers for devoting more time to those children because they had come for a short time in their vacation only. Papa Ji deputed Gurbani Singh to supply milk and ghee to these children. The prominent names among these children are Bhai Jaswinder Singh, Romi, son of Bhai Pyara Singh Hothi, and Bhai Nirmal Singh, son of Bhai Daljit Singh. He is also known by the surname Mahant Ji. Till today, all of them are rendering their services of doing Kirtan at Pillai. As far as Bhai Surjit Singh was concerned, he was suffering from a respiratory disease ever since his early childhood days. With the result, he would always face great difficulty while singing the hymns. Despite all kinds of treatments, he was not getting cured. One day, a close confidant of Papa Ji told him that one Dr. Sarmukh Singh of Khilchiyan village, situated on GT Road, 30 kilometers from Amritsar, treats asthma patients by bet. Papa Ji told his nephew Bhai Kashmir Singh to take Surjit Singh along and go to that doctor. The doctor examined him and told him that a small operation needed to be done on his throat and assured that he would be definitely cured. He advised that Surjit Singh would have to speak at low voice for the next 6 months and also said that he would not be able to sing Kirtan during that period. Bhai Kashmir Singh told the doctor that he would come back after consulting the family. The whole situation was explained to Papaji. He simply said, "It is immaterial whether Surjit Singh lives or dies, but he will have to learn Kirtan in any situation." He further said that death was a far better option than abandoning Kirtan and quoted the verse, "Aakhan jeevan visre mar jaun." Chanting it, I live. Forgetting it, I die. From that day onwards, Satguru Ji initiated him in the service of Kirtan. For the last more than 30 years, not only he is relieved of his respiratory systems to a great extent, but also the Sangat gets especially enthralled when he sings Kirtan. With the blessings of Satguru Ji, he is always in demand by the Sangat for performing Kirtan. One is always benefited by obeying the word of a sadhu. When Papaji was sick, he was staying at my house. Bhai Dayal Singh and his brother Raghveer Singh Patwari didn't know this, so they decided to go to village Bariar to inquire about his health. On reaching Mehta, they came to know that Sant Ji was not at Bariar but at Chopra's mine house at Amritsar. They directly came to my house. Raghveer Singh started some serious discussion with Papaji, but Dayal Singh was looking a bit restless because they were to reach at Delhi the same night. From there, the bookings were to be confirmed to go to Pillai in the first class coach, and the money for that was already deposited. Bhai Dayal Singh disclosed this to Papaji, but he asked them to stay for the night. At the same time, the thought of visiting Sri Harmandir Sahib was also going on in his mind. Just then Papaji asked me to take Dayal Singh to Sri Harmandir Sahib, and we went there. All the time Dayal Singh kept worrying about the loss of money paid for reservation. When we reached back home, we came to know that reservation was closed for that day, and he was unnecessarily worrying for the loss of money. Blessings of Satsangat, religious congregation. This incident happened at Pillai. Bhai Dayal Singh was in great difficulty because of his back pain, and the time was that of evening Satsangat. His wife told him to accompany her for attending Satsangat. Because of his back pain, Bhaiji showed his inability. His wife said that Satsangat is a place where all the troubles are allayed, and he was not willing to go there because of his trouble. Somehow she persuaded him to accompany her and assured that Sangat would shower blessings on him. So hesitatingly, he accompanied his wife. After reaching there, he started keeping and cleaning the shoes of Sangat in shoe house. To his utter astonishment, he totally forgot that he was suffering from severe back pain, because in no time pain had completely vanished. Respect of true meditation. In 1956, Papaji was serving in the army of Calcutta. His Bengali commander officer, CO, was quite impressed with him because of his lifestyle and his meditation. Whenever there would be a meeting of officers, Papaji would be especially invited to attend that, though he was not an officer in the army. When Papaji would show his hesitation to attend the meeting, he would often request that he just wanted to have a glimpse of his face and would insist that he should come to the meeting. A pitcher of water was placed outside the room where Papaji used to meditate. Wife of the CEO would daily fill that pitcher with fresh water and would take some water out of that pitcher to her home. It was her fixed routine. What was that pleasure which she and her husband was deriving by rendering that service, only they could explain. Papaji was exempted from any kind of duty, so he would remain engrossed in meditation all through 24 hours. There was another Sikh officer who used to come daily to make a round parikrama of Papaji's quarter. Bhai Karnail Singh, a close relative of Sant Ji, once happened to go to Calcutta in connection with his games. He went to the army area to meet Sant Ji. Same Sikh officer met him and asked Karnal Singh how he knew Sant Ji. He told him that Sant Ji was his close relative. The officer said that he, Karnal Singh, was lucky, in whose pedigree a saint like Papa Ji had born. Gurbani complements the science perfectly. Papa Ji would often say that Gurbani is nothing but whole truth, even if tested scientifically. Verse says, Sache te pavna paya, pavna te jal hoy, jal te tripavan sajya, kat kat jot samoy. From the true Lord came the air, and from the air came water. From water he created the three worlds. In each and every heart he has infused his light. By this verse of Gurbani, Satguru Ji is trying to make us mortals understand that first of all God created air, then water was created from that air. Scientifically, we all know that water is formed by the mixture of two gases, H2O, that is oxygen and hydrogen. Then all the three worlds were created through this water, that is nature came into existence. Satguru Ji says in Gurbani, Pavan Guru Pani Pita Mata Tarat Mahat Divas Raat Doi Dai Daya Khela Sagal Jagat. Air is the Guru, water is the Father, and earth is the great mother of all. Day and night are the two nurses, nannies, in whose lap all the world is at play. Pehla Pani Jio hai, Jit Harya Sab Koi. First, there is life in water, by which everything else is made green, lively. As per Gurmat, every life ultimately will have to merge with the Creator, that is the Almighty God Himself. Detail about how to achieve this oneness has been written in Shri Guru Granth Sahib Ji. As per the inherent nature of water, it flows down to lower levels without any effort. To change this very nature of water, that is to take it from lower level to higher level, we will have to use some special technique. For example, if we put some water in a pot and place it over the fire, after some time it will lose its nature of flowing down, rather it will start rising up in the air in the form of steam. Second drastic change which could be seen would be its complete mergence with air, that is the original source from which it was actually formed. It would no longer remain a separate entity. Ram Kabira ek paye hai, koi na sakkai pachani. The Lord and Kabir have become one. No one can tell them apart. Similarly, the breaths which are flowing in our body require no effort for them to flow. That whole process is completely automatic. But if we start taking these breaths as per the direction of Shri Guru Nanak Dev Ji, that is after partaking Amrit, getting baptized, and receiving Guru Mantra from Guruji, Panj Pyaras, then while breathing in feeling as if Vahe is being pronounced, and while breathing out feeling as if Guru is being pronounced. And when we keep on doing this repeatedly for longer and longer times, a time will come when two major changes would happen. First one will be that the whole process of breathing will be reversed. Ultat pavan chakra khat pede, surt sun anuragi. I turn my breath inwards and pierce through the 6 chakras of the body, and my awareness was centered on the primal void of the Absolute Lord. By this process of reversal of breathing, all the 6 circles of life would open up. God has divided the body of a human being into 6 circles. Without knowing the secrets of all those, no one can even have a glimpse of God. What to call of achieving oneness with God? Khat name kar kothadi bandhi, bast anup beech pai. He fashioned the body chamber with 6 rings and placed within it the incomparable thing. Second major change that would happen would be that the source from which air has been formed, one would merge with the same source again, meaning thereby that the air has been formed from none other than God Himself, and thus one would attain the same form and would merge with Him forever. This way the cycle of life will be completed. Jiste upche tis mahe samai. one gets immersed into the same source from which it came into existence. A seeker would have to practice this extensively. Just by discussing and talking about it, no one would ever be able to reach upon this stage. It is just like the fact that water does not start boiling immediately after the pot is placed on the fire. It takes at least some time before the boiling point is reached. Then only it converts into steam and is able to merge with air. Similarly, only with the blessings of Satguruji and practicing extensively and continuously, one can attain these heights of spiritualism in meditation. Papaji would often explain that Simran is achieved by synchronizing the three factors. 1. Shabad. 2. Concentration, Surat. 3. Breath, Swas. Without these three coming together, the actual Simran is not possible. That was how Sant Ji would explain the extremely complicated process of spiritualism in a very simplified way, just by quoting worldly examples from our daily life. How Pavan, air, is Guru, and what is the point of entrance of Naam in the body? As has been discussed above, air has a very important role for achieving oneness with God. Same is the role of a true Guru, and only he has the power of completing the process of achieving oneness with God. None of these self-proclaimed and self-styled gurus can do that. Another fact is that a true and perfect Guru can only be one and not so many. Our body is considered to be alive till the time air, breath, is running in it. It is because of air only that all our organs of knowledge keep functioning. The moment breath stops coming, that is, air stops flowing in our body, all the organs stop functioning immediately, and the body stops emanating any glow like that of a living body. So much so that not even a single word or the Shabad, Naam, can be uttered without air. Kabir Ji says, Kabir Mukt Dwara Sankuda Rai Daswand Pai Manto Magal Hoy Raha Niksya Kyo Kar Jai. O Kabir, the gate of liberation is narrow, less than 1/10 of a mustard seed. The mind has become as big as an elephant. How can it pass through this gate? It means that the door through which one has to pass to attain salvation is very narrow, that is, as small as 1/10 part of a millimeter. So it becomes quite obvious that nothing other than air can pass through it. Verse says, Santo man pavne sukh banaya, kich jog prapat ganaya. O saints, my windy mind has now become peaceful and still. It seems that I have learned something of the science of yoga. This is the reason why air is called the Guru. Second important point Sant Ji made was that everyone ought to breathe, that is, inhale air, only through nostrils. When according to Shri Guru Nanak Dev Ji's method of meditation, air, breath, concentration, Surat, and Guru Mantra, Vaheguru, are conjoined, then only one can be considered to be initiated on the path of meditation in Gurmat. Nothing less than that or other than this method would be fruitful. So after whole of this understanding, we can easily say that the point of entrance of Naam in the human body is none other than the nostrils. To remove the hurdle coming in the way of the meditational path. One SDO working in MES was a friend of Captain Bua Singh. He told Bua Singh that with Satguru's grace and by virtue of meditation, he was blessed with the ability to move out of his body and go anywhere he wanted to go. At the same time, he was enjoying the essence of Naam as well. But now for quite some time, everything had just vanished, and he was quite disturbed over that. He requested Bua Singh that if he could arrange his meeting with some enlightened soul so as to remove the hurdle in which he was entangled so that once again he could enjoy the same spiritual level. Captain told him that he knows only one such saint and said that he would talk to him, and if he would allow, then they would go to see him. Suddenly one day I, author, went to Captain's house to meet him. He told me the whole story and said that as and when Papaji would visit my house, I should discuss with him. If he would agree, then the SDO would be asked to come for the meeting. One day I went to see Papaji at his village and told him the whole episode. Papaji asked me that whenever he would be coming to my house, I should call that SDO for a meeting. As good luck would have it, just after a few days, Papaji reached my house. I sent a message to Captain Sahib and he reached my house along with that SDO. After taking tea etc., Papaji asked the SDO whether he ever enjoyed the essence of the Naam. SDO answered affirmatively. Papaji asked him how. Explainingly, SDO said that whenever he used to meditate on the Naam, he would feel as if some essence was emanating from his lips and it would keep on increasing with the passage of time during meditation. Papaji said that he was actually at the first stage of Naam Ras, essence. I was sitting by his Sant Ji's side and I just asked him to explain about the advanced stages of Naam. Papaji said that as this stage advances, the essence of Naam starts flowing from the tongue, reaching the palate, then the fountains of Ras start, which the seeker can only enjoy, and he remains always in a state of ecstasy. It keeps on increasing with the increase in practice of meditation. Then Papaji read the following verse of Anand Sahib. Jeko Sikh Guru Seti Sanmukh Hove ta Sanmukh Sikh Koi Jio Rahe Gur Nale, Gur ke Charan Hirday te aaye Antar Atma Samale. If a Sikh turns to the Guru with sincere faith, as Sanmukh, his soul abides with the Guru. Within his heart, he meditates on the lotus feet of the Guru. Deep within his soul, he contemplates him. He read the whole Pauri stanza. None of us could comprehend what exactly happened with that SDO, but his hurdle was removed, and he was blessed with the same level of enjoyment of meditation. That SDO later told Captain Bua Singh that he had attained the same spiritual level again, and said that it could be made possible only because of the blessings of Satguru Ji and Sant Ji. This was Sant Ji's unique style of living like any ordinary person, in spite of the fact that he was a saint of the highest order. He never ever boasted about any of his achievements. To make one listen to the singing of hymns by the fairies, holy spirits. Papaji started religious preachings by organizing many programs in his area. The routine used to be that Sangat would start moving in their respective tractor trolleys quite early in the morning. During one such program, Sangat was asked to collect at Madhyala village on the main road. Papaji along with Bhai Surjit Singh started walking towards the road. He asked Surjit Singh to look into the sky. When he looked up, he saw that very many people were singing kirtan and were moving ahead of them. It was a very melodious kirtan. He was enjoying every bit of it and was admiring Papaji in heart of hearts. Bhai Bachan Singh was coming after them and he started calling Bhai Surjit Singh in a loud voice. As soon as he reached near them, everything just vanished. Bhai Surjit Singh told Bhai Bachan Singh that he had destroyed the whole scenario, but Bachan Singh could not understand about which scenario he was talking about. Whenever Papaji used to be in his spiritual bliss, he would often show such kind of occult phenomena to very few from amongst his companions. To forbid Bhai Jagir Singh from serving liquor in the party. Bhai Jagir Singh was Papaji's cousin. Papaji somehow had special love and affection for his family and would usually stay at his house whenever he would come on leave from his job in the army. Bhai Surjit Singh, about whom we have talked above, his engagement date was fixed. As it was customary in the villages in those days that liquor used to be served on such occasions, Bhai Jagir Singh was also asked to arrange the liquor for the guests. He started preparation for making the country-made liquor by putting jaggery etc. in the pictures. When Papaji came to know about that, he told Bhai Jagir Singh that liquor should not be served during the ceremony. Bhai Jagir Singh argued that such functions are never considered to be complete without liquor. Despite Papaji's warning, he continued with the process of making all the arrangements. When Jagir Singh thought that the right time had come and things were ready for making the country-made liquor, he collected all the apparatus required and took 1 or 2 servants along with him. He started burning the fire to initiate the process, but not even a drop of liquor was coming out of the apparatus. They tried at least for 2 days, but they failed miserably. As an alternative, they thought of buying the liquor from nearby villages, because the date of engagement was approaching very fast. After lots of efforts and spending a lot of money, they were able to collect the required quantity of liquor from the nearby villages. When the engagement ceremony was over them, it was time for the party. Happily, they started serving the liquor. Whichever bottle was opened, the taste of liquor turned out to be very sour. This way, whole stock of liquor was wasted and nobody could drink even a drop of liquor. A lot of money of Bhai Jagir Singh was wasted in that process. After all that had happened, only then the realization dawned on them that Papaji had stopped them, but still they went ahead not listening to his advice, and the result was in front of everybody. After that, Bhai Jagir Singh stopped taking liquor altogether, and the very idea of drinking liquor never ever came into his mind. Papaji went quite far ahead to receive Bhai Dharam Singh and his family. Bhai Dharam Singh along with his family came to Punjab and to attend marriage in district Gurdaspur. After the marriage ceremony was over, Dharam Singh's wife told one of his cousins that they intended to go to village Bariar and requested him to take them on his vehicle. He took them along but dropped them at the canal near village Atwal, which was quite far from Bariar village, and asked him to go further off their own. They were quite upset with his behavior. They hardly knew anything about the topography of that area. Quite perplexed, they were standing there because hardly any ride was available on the banks of the canal. Just then, an army jeep approached them. A captain of the army, who was deputed in that area, asked them that where they intended to go. They told him that they were to go to village Bariar. He asked them to sit inside the jeep and dropped them at the point from where a small road was directly going to village Bariar. There in village Bariar, Papaji suddenly took his shoulder cloth and walked out of his house. His wife asked him where he was going. He told her that he was just going in the nearby area. He met Bhai Dharam Singh and his family quite far ahead of his village and brought them to his house. Bhai Dharam Singh along with his family were quite astonished about Papaji's intuition about their arrival, as he had come to receive them quite far ahead of his village. Papaji showered lots of love and affection on all of them. While coming back to his house, Bhai Dharam Singh's wife said that in reality, he, Sant Ji, was her real brother, who had taken all the pain to come so far ahead to receive them. That was how Papaji used to have great love and affection for his companions. 5 evils in our body are nothing but tenants. Once I asked a common question to Papaji, which often arises in the minds of all the seekers, that whenever one initiates into meditation, all the 5 evils start manifesting themselves quite vigorously. Why was that so? Papaji answered my question by quoting a beautiful worldly example. He said, "Joginder Singh, it is similar to this situation when a landlord keeps tenants in his house. Until the time he does not ask them to vacate the house, everything goes on quite normally. The moment he tells the tenants to vacate the house because he requires that for his personal use, all sorts of problems start arising. They will start making all sorts of excuses and tell him their constraints to vacate the house. Not only that, they will try to pressurize him and will go to the extent to avoid the eviction notice. Similarly, these 5 evils, who actually are tenants in our body, but because they have been living in our body since very long time, they have started believing as if they are the actual owners of this house. When anyone starts moving on the path shown by Guruji, that is, starts meditation on the Naam, it is exactly like serving them with an eviction notice. In a similar fashion, as the worldly tenants would oppose, they also start opposing with full force. But if one continues with the meditation on the Naam, with Satguru's grace and blessings, they are left with no other option but to leave and vacate the body. That was how Papaji would make us understand an extremely difficult and perplexing question in a very simplified way, quoting worldly examples. The right to allow anybody to bow his head before him rests only with the true Guru, and that is none other than Shri Guru Granth Sahib Ji. It was just a coincidence that I had gone to meet Papaji, and at around 4 p.m. in the evening, 2 young girls from Bombay reached there. Papaji asked them to go and bow their heads before Shri Guru Granth Sahib Ji and to sit in the hall. He told them that he would also be coming there soon after them. These girls were doing some research work on some subject of Shri Guru Granth Sahib Ji for their PhD in Bombay. There they met someone to whom they requested to refer them to some accomplished saint so that they could get proper insight about Gurbani and Shri Guru Granth Sahib Ji. Incidentally, that person had an opportunity to meet Papaji and had listened to his discourses. So he gave Papaji's address and they reached Bariar after making lots of efforts. When the girls sat in the hall, Papaji asked someone to serve them with tea and snacks, etc. Then he went there and sat by their side. After inquiring about their well-being and from where they had come, Papaji started the discussion even before the girls could ask him any question. The Shabad was, Ram Gobind Japedya Hova Mukh Pavitra Har Jas Sunaya Jiste Soi Pai Mitra. Chanting the name of the Lord of the universe, one's mouth is sanctified. One who recites to me the praises of the Lord is my friend and brother. Laying great emphasis, Papaji said that whosoever makes us listen to various discourses on God should not be given more respect or importance than that of a big brother or a good friend. The respect of a Guru is only and only to be given to Shri Guru Granth Sahib Ji. Later those girls said that after listening to that person who referred them to come to Bariar, they had actually come with the mindset as if they were going to meet a Guru. But Papaji dispelled that feeling on the very onset of their discussion. After listening to the explanation of the above Shabad, every doubt of their minds was dispelled. Then Papaji took the second Shabad, Jo di se gur se khada, tis niv niv lago pai jio. Akha birtha ji ki, kur sajjan deh milai jio. When I see a Sikh of the Guru, I humbly bow and fall at his feet. I tell him the pain of my soul and beg him to unite me with the Guru, my best friend. In this whole Shabad, the seeker asks questions to an accomplished Sikh and he gives the answers. The seeker explains his pain to Gurmukh. Gurmukh explains that he had done the meditation according to Guru's instruction and had found the bliss. Similarly, you can achieve the same thing by Guru's blessings only. That way Papaji dispelled all the doubts of those 2 girls, strictly according to Gurmat. They were fully satisfied and went back happily. Khalsa is the ruler of whole of the universe. Once Papaji came to my house and after dinner, when he was about to go to his bed, I requested him to tell when Khalsa Raj would come. He said, Joginder Singh, Khalsa is always the ruler of the universe. I said, I'm not able to understand, and requested him to elaborate. He read the following verse of Gurbani. Hasti sir jo ankas hai, ahran jo sir de, mantan agya rakh ka, ubbi sev kare, eo Gurmukh aap niwariye, sab raj srisht kale. The elephant offers its head to the reins, and the anvil offers itself to the hammer. Just so, we offer our minds and bodies to our Guru. We stand before him and serve him. This is how Khalsa is always the ruler of whole of the universe. But it is not that easy to become a Khalsa. Papaji never wanted himself to be addressed as a saint. A program was planned to go to Bhai. Papaji came to me with a list of names of the Sangat who were ready to go and asked me to accompany him to the railway station for reserving their seats. The list was quite long, and we were supposed to fill reservation forms for each one of them. On top of that, it was not possible to ensure that whole of the Sangat would get reservation in the same bogie. In such a situation, Sangat would have to face lot of harassment. So I went to the chief reservation officer and explained him the whole situation. He suggested me to write an application with the name of the head of the Jatha written on the top, followed by the names of the whole of the Sangat. That was the only way by virtue of which all of them could get reservation at one place. I wrote an application with the name of Sant Kartar Singh Ji as head of the Jatha. Sant Ji said that designation of Sant should not have been prefixed before his name. Only Kartar Singh was enough. So he made me to delete the designation of a Sant from his name. That was the humility of Papaji. On the contrary, these days quite often we come across many such people with whose name, if the designation of Sant or Braham Giani or Babaji etc. is not prefixed, they feel offended and insulted. To close down the Naqli, duplicate Nirankari's Bhawan single-handedly. Even much before the happening of the tragic Baisakhi Day incident of 1978, Papaji made head of the Naqli Nirankaris to flee from Kumaon area. In that incident, his personal security guard fell on the ground while reversing the vehicle in panic and fleeing from the scene. So much so that their turbans also fell off, which were later on collected by the Singhs. But somehow their head was able to make an escape. That was quite humiliating for them. To save their face, they started making all-out efforts, even by seeking the help of the government, to hold programs in that area, but they could not succeed, owing to the protests by the people of that area. Desperately, they resorted literally to begging to allow them to hold, if not more, only a single program, and promised that their head would not utter even a single word which could be derogatory to Sikh Gurus. Because of this promise, it was decided to allow them to hold one program, and that too with the precondition that whole of the program would be tape recorded, and if anything objectionable would be spoken, due notice and action would be taken against them. Bhai Khalsa Ji of Mehta was asked to make necessary arrangement for doing the recording. On that day, the head of Naqli, pseudo-Nirankaris, read only one Shabad from Kabir Ji's Bani and quickly wound it up after making a very small hasty speech. Just after some time, the gruesome incident of 1978 happened. Everyone in the Sikh community knows all the details of that incident. Sant Jarnail Singh Ji Khalsa asked Papaji to take the responsibility of not allowing any of the programs of Naqli pseudo-Nirankaris to be held in Kumaon area. Papaji accepted the responsibility. With the passage of time, they again started regrouping and decided to hold a program in Papaji's area. Papaji somehow came to know about that, and he told his companions to lock the Naqli pseudo-Nirankaris Bhawan. All of them told Papaji that they would hold a meeting to finalize the decision because there was always heavy deployment of the police force at the venue of the program. Papaji could clearly see some hesitation in their minds. On the other hand, Sant Ji had promised Sant Jarnail Singh Khalsa Ji that till the time he was alive, he would not allow any of the programs of Naqli Nirankaris to be held in that area. Papaji just called Dalbir Singh, the younger brother of Jathedar Gurnam Singh Ji, who was just 12 to 14 years of age, to bring the motorcycle. Papaji sat on the back seat and told him to drive to Naqli Nirankari's Bhawan so as to see for himself whether or not some program was being held there. Both of them went to Kumaon. Papaji was not only a saint but was a soldier too. He always used to keep a 3 feet long sword with him while moving out. He loudly spoke the war cry of the Sikhs at the gate of the Bhawan. Joginder Singh, head of the Nirankari sect of Kumaon area, came to the gate. Papaji struck his sword with all his might, and he just could save himself by quickly closing the gate. That was followed by a lot of commotion, and everybody ran helter and skelter and fled away by scaling the wall. The Bhawan was completely vacated within minutes. Then Papaji told the young boy to go to the shopkeepers nearby to ask whether any program was actually held there or not. Such was the terror that whichever shop the boy approached, the shopkeeper of that shop would just pull down the shutter and run away. In no time, whole market was closed and nobody could be seen around. Then along with that little boy, Papaji went to the police post. Only the record keeper, Munshi, was present there. With great authority, Papaji asked him whether any program was held there or not. He was seen trembling with fear and said that he was not having any knowledge about that because his in charge had gone out on a tour. Papaji just warned him that in the future they should not allow any such program to be held in that area. Till the time Papaji was alive, what to call of conducting any program in that Bhawan? Nobody could even gather any guts to fix even a single brick in that Bhawan. After completing the whole exercise, he asked the little boy to go to the place where the meeting was being held and tell them that the mission was accomplished and they were free to go to their houses. Thus Sant Ji would keep his word in spite of all kinds of odds he might have to face. Papaji lived in my author's house during his sickness. It was December 1980. I suddenly felt an urge to meet Papaji. I reached at village Bariar in the evening and stayed there for the night. I met him and listened to his spiritual talks. In the morning, I was just sitting by his side when he said, "Joginder Singh, I have completely lost the taste on my tongue. I don't feel any kind of taste, whatsoever I may eat." I just said that he was always overwhelmed by the essence of Naam. Perhaps that might be the reason the worldly things failed to leave their taste on his tongue. He just asked me to look at his tongue and opened his mouth. Whole of his tongue was full of ulcers, and whole of his mouth and throat was quite inflamed. I explained him the condition and pleaded that he should consult some skin specialist. In fact, I requested him to accompany me so that a suitable doctor could be consulted. After some discussion, both of us came to Amritsar on my motorcycle. In those days, roads and streets in the area around my house were not metalled, and the condition used to worsen further whenever it would rain. It kept raining for almost 3 days and we could not move out to see any of the doctors. Papaji, sticking to his strict routine, would get up early in the morning, take his bath, etc., and would come out of the bathroom only after washing all his clothes. He would never allow me to wash his clothes even after repeated requests. Someone told me that Dr. Suraj Prakash was quite a renowned doctor as far as the skin diseases were concerned. He was posted in Guru Nanak Dev Ji Hospital and his residence was at Lawrence Road. Both of us went to his house. He examined Sant Ji's mouth and then took him inside and examined his skin after taking off all his clothes. It was also there. I was shocked to see that whole of the skin of Papaji was exuding some watery discharge and there were many ulcers on his skin. The situation looked quite grim, but Papaji never told anything to anybody. I started thinking that how come a saint of this stature can suffer with such a dreadful disease? Bhai Chamkaur Singh, Sant Ji's son, one day dared to ask him that in spite of doing strenuous meditation, what reason could be attributed to his suffering? Sant Ji told him that ego never dies without suffering, and such sufferings indeed are instrumental for quelling ego. Sant Ji said that he was not the body, and it was only the body which was suffering because of its deeds. Doctor prescribed 1 month's medicine and told us in detail how to use that. He told us that it seemed to be a result of some drug reaction. Papaji was using a medicine named Diamox for his eyes, and in those very days only, a news item appeared in the newspapers that a batch of Diamox was found to be faulty and was causing reactions in many patients. That thing further cemented the drug reaction theory. After procuring medicine, when we were coming back home, Papaji asked me to leave him at the bus stand so that he could go back to village Bariar. Because I had seen his condition, I requested him to stay back as it would be easy to consult the doctor in case of any urgency, while it would not be possible for him to come to Amritsar time and again from village Bariar. Still he kept on insisting to go home. I pleaded that this house was nothing but his own house and he should stay back. At last, he relented that if I was so adamant, then he would stay back, and we drove back to my house. While entering the house, he said, "You have brought me here, now listen. All those people who have never visited your house will come to your house. Secondly, you will not leave any deficiency while serving the Sangat coming to your house." I humbly said, "I cannot comment on the service of the Sangat, but I know for sure that things will happen the way you will wish them to happen." Then, as per his army behavior, he just ordered that I would have to obey whatsoever I would be asked to do. I just agreed to every precondition. Treatment was started as per the instructions of the doctor. After sponging the wounds with hot water, Betnovate ointment used to be applied on the wounds. To give injections, I requested one Dr. Luthra to come punctually to do the needful. He was kind enough and would come daily. Even if it would be raining, still he would never refrain to come. He would always reach in time to give injection and kept coming throughout the treatment. In the evening, I requested Sant Ji that we should call someone from his house. He said that instead, Bhai Bachan Singh of Mehta should be called. I sent a message, and soon after Bhai Bachan Singh reached my house. Then both of us kept serving Sant Ji. After about 4 days, Papaji's wife reached my house just to inquire what exactly was happening, because it was quite some time since we left village Bariar. On the other hand, the disease was worsening day by day in spite of all the treatment. Now whole of his body was full of blisters and watery discharge kept oozing out from all of them all the time. Sometimes the hot sponging had to be done up to 3 times a day and the ointment had to be applied time and again. After consulting the doctors, frequency of giving injections was increased to thrice a day. Many injections were changed in due course of time, but nothing was working to the benefit of Papaji. At last, doctor prescribed gentamicin injection, saying that no antibiotic stronger than that was available at that point of time. The doctor was almost sure and was expecting positive results. These injections were also given thrice a day, but nothing better came out. By this time, the news of Papaji's illness spread far and wide, and just in a few days, people started reaching my house from all over. At any given time, at least 15 to 20 people would be available in the service of Papaji. Very many people started coming daily, and as per the directions of Papaji, whole of my family would remain busy in preparing food etc. for the coming Sangat. It was also instructed that food etc. had to be served according to the time and the need of the Sangat. My wife and I would ensure that nobody would go without taking food or tea etc. Captain Bua Singh had also sent his daughter Pushpinder Kaur permanently to help us in preparing the food etc. We procured a big stove with large burners for the preparation of langar food. This stove came quite handy for preparing large amounts of food. Papaji's condition was going from bad to worse, and that became a cause of grave concern for each one of us. Sant Jarnail Singh Ji was staying in Guru Nanak Niwas in Sri Harmandir Sahib in those days. One night at around 11 p.m. he reached my house along with some Singhs. Papaji got up and embraced him. Sant Jarnail Singh Ji Khalsa sat on Papaji's cot and said, "Leave this disease now." Papaji just shook his head in denial. Khalsa Ji didn't repeat the request because he knew very well that no disease could ever afflict him without his own sweet will. He kept sitting there for about an hour or so and discussed various things with Papaji. Then he left after taking some eatables as per his desire. The fact was that Papaji had himself brought that disease on him, about which he had already disclosed to Captain Sahib. There was a Singh from village Muchal in the Jatha of Sant Jarnail Singh Ji Khalsa. Once he requested Sant Khalsa Ji whether there was any person who actually, according to Sukhmani Sahib, could be called a Braham Giani, and if at all there was any, please tell us, so that we can meet him and salvage our lives. Sant Jarnail Singh asked him to accompany him whenever he would go to Chopra's house to meet Papa Ji of Bariar village. When Khalsa Ji came for the second time at around midnight to my house, that Singh also came along. As directed by Khalsa Ji, he sat on the backside of Papa Ji on the same cot. Khalsa Ji just stayed for some time and then went back. On the way, Khalsa Ji asked that Singh about his experience. He told Khalsa Ji that he felt as if whole body of Papa Ji was resounding with the Simran of Vaheguru Naam. Sant Khalsa Ji said that he was a Braham Giani as described in Gurbani. Gurmukh Rom Rom Har Tyaveh. The Gurmukh meditates on the Lord with every hair of his body. People from all over India like Tata Nagar, Calcutta, Pillai and many other places were reaching my house. When they would inquire about my address, local people would tell them that all the people with blue turbans go to that particular direction. Just after 4 to 5 days of his ailment, Papa Ji had disclosed to Captain Sahib that he had taken all the sufferings of his son Binda onto himself. It would be quite appropriate here to jot down the incident pertaining to Binda. The incident is that once Papa Ji came to my author's house, and after staying for some time, he asked me to accompany him to go to Captain Bua Singh's house. Otherwise also, whenever Papa Ji used to come to my house, invariably, he would always visit Captain's house and would especially meet Captain's son, Binda, who always used to be very happy to see Papa Ji. Binda was almost completely paralyzed because of some dreadful polio-like disease ever since his childhood. He used to perform all his urgent nature's calls and all other activities on the bed only. He was not even able to speak. When we reached at Captain's house, he was giving medicines to his patients. Me and Papa Ji both sat near Binda's bed. I sat on the bed and Papa Ji sat on the chair lying nearby. Just after a while, Binda's mother came there and requested Papa Ji, with great pain in her heart and tears in her eyes, that either he should allay his Binda's miseries or pray for his death. She pleaded that it was becoming unbearable for them to see him, Binda, suffering anymore. Papa Ji didn't speak anything, but after a while he raised Binda's head, put both his hands behind his neck and closed his eyes. After remaining in that position for some time, he opened his eyes, but still he didn't speak any word. I could guess that he had done some prayer for him. Just after a few days, Binda died. When Binda's last rites of Pog ceremony were being performed on 10th day after his death, Papa Ji came back from Batala after attending some program. Just as a mark of respect, Captain Sahib, myself, along with few more members of the family, went ahead to receive Sant Ji and the accompanying Sangat at the gate. Captain Ji said that Binda had left for his heavenly abode. Papa Ji just said that it was you people only who had asked for it. I guess that only me and Captain Sahib could understand what Papa Ji had said. Now it became clear to me that Papa Ji had prayed in the lotus feet of Satguru Ji on that day when Binda's mother requested him, and now he had taken upon himself all the miseries of Binda. Papa Ji said that before achieving salvation, Binda would have to go through one more cycle of birth and death, and exclaimed that instead of Binda, he, Sant Ji, himself would take one birth so as to save him from that ordeal. That was actually a great benevolent act of a true sadhu, by virtue of which not only he took all the miseries upon himself, but also took the responsibility for his salvation. The following verses of Gurbani are perfect to be quoted in this context. Sadh ke sang nahi kachkal, darsan petat hot nihal. In the company of the holy, there is no suffering. The blessed vision of their darshan brings a sublime, happy peace. Everybody got over-worried after listening that Papa Ji will have to take another birth. Everyone started thinking that a saint of his stature, and after doing so much of successful meditation, then how come still he would have to take another birth? It is indeed impossible to understand the powers of a true sadhu, and that too by us worldly people. Every one of us used to always remain ready in the service of Papa Ji. He was getting weaker and weaker with every passing day. No let-up was in sight as far as his disease condition was concerned. despite the fact that every available treatment was being done. Everyone used to get terrified even with the thought that something unavoidable might not happen. When Papaji would realize that all of us were quite depressed, he would always do something which would bring back smiles on our faces. I was just sitting near Papaji and I started thinking in my mind that he had such a stout body, but now he was looking so feeble because of his disease. Just then a second thought crossed my mind that if such a saint is not spared by diseases and miseries, what is our condition going to be? Just then Papaji spoke and said, "Joginder Singh, I am not sick, and neither am I a body. It is the body only which is suffering." And he read the Chaupai Sahib's line, "Rid Siddh Karmo Sab Hoi." They have all the worldly and spiritual pleasures in their homes. And asked me to read the next line, and I read, "Dust Shah Swai Sake Na Koi." None of their enemies can even touch their shadow. Then he said, "Don't you understand? What does this mean?" And I was totally pacified in my heart after listening to his answer. Papaji never used to blink his eyes, and thus his eyes would always remain open. Still, he would hardly ever notice as to who was sitting by his side. Disclosing the secret, he told me that it was possible only in a true samadhi. I pleaded that I hardly know anything about true samadhi. He simply said that whatsoever you are observing is nothing but a true samadhi. One day at around 8 p.m., he asked all of us who were around to come close to his bed. Papaji's bed was kept in the drawing room. He told me to call my wife along with the children. My wife was most of the time busy in preparing food, etc. He told all of us to sit down, and then, like a teacher, he started saying that all of us would speak loudly after him. Papaji very loudly started saying, "Embodied gurus are false. Embodied gurus are false." He kept repeating for quite some time, and we also kept on saying the same after him. After repeating it for many times, then he started saying, "Sant Kartar Singh Ji Khalsa Bariaranwale is nothing but the truth. Sant Jarnail Singh Ji Khalsa also is nothing but the truth. Each and every Singh of the whole Jatha group is nothing but the truth." Then all of us followed him in chanting the Guru Mantra, Vaheguru, for around 2 hours or so. We took it as his blessing on all of us. He blessed the Sangat of Pillai by saying that each and every Singh of Pillai's Sangat is nothing but the truth, etc. From the very first day when Papaji came to my house, I was directed by him to make him listen to all the Banis of Nitnem, daily prayer, both in the morning and in the evening. Apart from this, every day in the morning, the recitation of Sri Shiromani Sahib would also be done. It was also directed by him that during recitation of Shri Kirtan Sohila Sahib's Bani at bedtime, he should be made to sit on the bed. One day he was very calmly resting, and I just thought not to disturb him, and I recited Kirtan Sohila's Bani. After finishing with that, I went to my bed. The very next day, I was reprimanded by Papaji that why I did not make him sit before recitation of Bani for Kirtan Sohila Sahib Ji. He said, "You can never even imagine how much I had to run to various places during whole of the night." I begged his pardon and learnt a lesson that it was of utmost importance to recite Kirtan Sohila Sahib's Bani in an attentive sitting position. End of audiobook part 7.